Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where three friends come together to talk about the stories behind the matches. I'm Matt.
I'm Dr. Temple Jr.
And I am Shinjiro Shaintani.
Welcome to episode 307, Best of Super Juniors 5.
Holy Cinco.
I don't have a tag.
Yeah.
1998. I don't think any of these were in the Tokyo Dome.
No, none of these were in the Tokyo Dome. But this is the 5th annual Best of Super Juniors, produced by New Japan Pro Wrestling. The finals would take place on June 3rd, 1998, from the Osaka Municipal Central Gymnasium in Osaka, Japan, with an attendance of 8,000 people. And as we go through, we'll talk about, since it's a tour, each match is at a different place. And we'll talk about each of those places as we get to those matches, but
yeah, if you've watched Japanese wrestling, a few of them are pretty recognizable to this day.
Yeah.
Still buildings that are getting used today.
But the final, that's usually where we place it in the running of our chronological thing, is we base it off of when the final is. And so,
yeah, it makes sense. That was the one that probably drew the most people.
I believe it was. But we are in Osaka, Japan. So Shane, did you do what you do?
Boy, did I ever. Yes, here we are, back in Japan for Super Juniors. So I figured, what the fuck can I bring this time around? We've done alcohol, we've done food, we've done sweets. And, it's the best of Super Juniors, so I figured I'd bring a variety, our own little best of Super Junior bites. From a new place here in Oklahoma City. I guess it originated in Texas, but Oklahoma City is its first venture outside of Texas. It's a spot called Dumplings and Noodles. It's, I guess they hand make all of the stuff there. They make all the dough and stretch all the noodles and all that stuff in-house. But it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's a dumpling and noodle restaurant. Lots of noodle dishes and ramen and whatnot. And then they have a variety of dumplings, your typical pan-fried or steamed dumplings. And they have the little soup dumplings, the little bows, other little shareable things on there. I went for kind of a variety of stuff because, like I said, it's the best of Super Juniors, so we had to have more than one. I got the Hongyu wontons, which are six stuffed pieces of pork wontons, topped with a spicy Hongyu sauce and cilantro on top. I got a variety of dumplings. It's called the Steamed Colorful Combo Dumpling. Came with a total of 8. There were 2 beef, 2 chicken, 2 pork, and 2 vegetable. The vegetable were like cabbage and carrot and stuff inside of them. It was like a spring roll inside of a dumpling, kind of, sort of. I got let's see here, the Jiao Long Bao, otherwise known as a soup dumpling. These ones are steamed buns stuffed with meat. I went with pork, and then there's a little bit of a soup broth inside of those. And then I got a couple of little dessert ones as well. There was a custard bao and a chocolate bao. Both of them are deep fried small buns. One with a vanilla custard, the other with chocolate chips, and then coated with sugar. Basically like little stuffed donut holes. Pretty tasty stuff. I'm assuming they're going to be even better if you get them at the restaurant instead of having them door dashed and delivered. Yeah, that one's going to be just one big giant dumpling there for you.
I'm just going to eat it. I
don't think anyone else is going to complain.
No, yeah, go for it.
They're my dumplings are, like I said, one of my favorite just foods in general.
Typically if I'm getting any form of Asian food, if there's a dumpling on the menu, I'm going to try it. Hey, it's like that nacho roll,
Mm-hmm.
If it all sticks together, it's just one nacho. Yeah, I'm a sucker for some good dumplings. I'm going to have to go back and try some of their actual noodle dishes as well, see what their ramens and whatnot. They have other...
Maybe a cold soba?
I bet they do have.
Yeah, they're partying all through Asia.
Yes. I mean, they're going Texas on the Asian cuisine. Yeah, noodles and dumplings here in the Quail Springs Mall area in Oklahoma City. I'm not going to take a bite of the wonton. We'll go for this little chocolate bao instead. It's not going to make any noise because it's all nice and soft and fluffy, but I bet if I take my little chopstick here and
Oh yeah.
you get a little tap on the crispy, and if I got a little sugar on the microphone, I apologize. But here we go. We'll just take a bite of this little chocolate delight. 1, 2, 3. Super good.
That one was better than the vanilla one.
Yes.
Because the vanilla one
Yeah.
only had like a tiny bit of custard in it. So it just kind of was like fry bread, which isn't bad, but if you're calling it a dessert,
Exactly.
you want some chocolate.
Well, something that would happen right around the same time as Best of the Super Juniors. The Truman Show would hit theaters the same weekend.
Awesome.
All right, quick question. Truman Show or Ed TV?
Truman Show.
Truman Show.
I mean, you know, Ed TV is forgotten.
It is, but
Because the
with
Truman
good
Show
reason.
the Truman Show is so much better. Although I do remember enjoying Ed TV as a
Oh
kid.
yeah, Ed TV was a nice guilty pleasure, but yeah, Truman Show. Jim Carrey turned the world upside down when people realized that he didn't have to be funny all the time and he could make them feel something other than laughter.
Yeah, and then after this, what he does, like the Majestic, where everyone's like, "All right, well, this one didn't work out too well."
And then, well, I mean, he did Man in the Moon
Yeah,
because he won one Golden Globe for Truman Show and was expected to be in the Oscar lineup
Yeah.
and did not make it for that. And then Man in the Moon, I want to say, was the following year.
but Man on the Moon is an Oscar bait type of movie,
Yeah.
and I think that's a good movie. But if you've ever seen that documentary, it's like shows him on the set of the movie. It makes you wish that Jim Carrey was dead.
Yeah.
Because I like just to have such a small amount of respect for him post watching that. Where I'm like, what a scumbag. And Dumb and Dumber is maybe one of the best comedies of all time. He's done so many great things, but it's just like, what a loser. Like talking to the family of Andy Kaufman, like in character, is so disgusting and distasteful.
But that's the ultimate tribute.
It
Because
might be.
he took it to the Andy Kaufman level.
It might be, but I don't like it.
If anything, he gave the family that little something that they hadn't had in so many years
Be
because
tortured by
Andy,
his shithead son.
Yeah.
I know. I hate the like method acting in general thing where I'm like, get out your own ass. Just when the lights go on, do your job. But
No,
Truman
Show was
very
amazing.
good. Yeah.
The concept of it, here we are today in a total reality TV world, and this is kind of before there was Big Brother, before all of that other stuff. The Truman Show gave us a window in what it would be like to watch somebody do anything and everything all day, all the time, for no reason other than to have something
To entertain us.
Yeah.
Who directed the Truman Show?
Peter Weir.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Like, all I can think of is Ed Harris as the director.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I just was for Truman Show. I was just like, I know it was a guy. It wasn't just like somebody.
It wasn't a usual suspect.
Yeah, it wasn't like just a journeyman guy. It was somebody who was a bit of an auteur.
Yeah, let me pull up my Truman Show.
What's funny is every time we talk about Truman Show, it comes up or somebody talks about it, I think of Ed TV immediately because I saw Ed TV so many times because it was on TV a lot. Because it didn't do so well, so they sell it to like HBO 6 months after it was in theater or whatever, and then it just plays constantly. And I liked it, so if it was on, I watched it a whole lot.
Let's see, cast. This was the first time I can really remember Laura Linney being in much of anything.
Or Lenny Rules.
Ed
Peter Weir
Harris
actually got nominated for Best Director with the Truman Show.
Yep. Ed Harris, I want to say, got nominated for Supporting Actor.
Yeah, and Best Screenplay as well. By Andrew Niccol, who the only other thing he had ever written before this was Gattaca.
Oh, I like Gattaca.
Gattaca!
They played Gattaca in school a lot because they're like, oh, this movie's kind of smart. We'll put this on when the teacher's hungover. But I'd already seen it because it was on TV a lot as well. That's like, just a movie I've seen a bunch of times.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a
It's a pretty good hit
A
rate
good cast.
for if you only got 2 movies made. You know.
Laura Linney, Ed Harris, Holland Taylor, Peter Krause, Paul Giamatti. Paul Giamatti was in it?
Yeah, he was one of the guys in the
Like the studio?
in the studio.
Okay, yeah. Now I remember him. He's not well known by name, Noah Emmerich, but I remember him from the movie Beautiful Girls shortly before this one.
The crazy thing is that Ed Harris and Jim Carrey never met each other on set.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that.
You know,
Yeah, they don't share a face-to-face scene.
any scenes together.
You know who fucking rules and doesn't get enough love? Ed Harris.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ed Harris rules anytime you hire Ed Harris, you get every fucking dime like on screen that you paid for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's just so good. It could be the biggest piece of shit movie, and he will still give you an incredible performance.
He could be the biggest heel in the movie, and
I mean, I
you'd
literally
still
was
be
just looking
cheering
at this
for
and I
him.
was just like...
He does a great job as a bad guy.
Uh-huh.
Probably my favorite movie of 2024 was Love Lies Bleeding, and he plays like the shithead in that movie and does an incredible job of playing a true weirdo creep.
I mean, Truman Show was kind of at the end of like a really good run for him because he did like Apollo 13,
yeah.
The Rock, where he plays like that's actually where I think of him whenever I think bad guy. Like he plays like the best bad guy in The Rock, and then he does the Truman Show the next year in '98.
He kills it in Milk Money, a not good movie
Yes.
that I've seen a million times.
Yes,
but
he
he
does.
has a great performance.
Milk Money.
I watched that movie so many times on TV. The shittier the movie, the quicker it gets to cable, and I had cable my whole life, so like I've seen a lot of movies that I just assumed people liked, but turns out they were reviled, but they were just on television a lot, so I've seen them a bunch of times. And Milk Money falls into that category.
Of course, he was in The
Yeah.
Abyss.
He totally should have won the Oscar that year for
The Right Stuff as John Glenn.
the Truman Show. He
That's
got
a-
beat by
that's a
James
very
Coburn
young-
in Affliction, and nobody fucking gave a fuck about that movie Affliction.
Yeah. But yeah, Ed Harris is the best.
Like you tell me Ed Harris is in a movie, I'll be like, okay, sure, I'll watch
Yep.
that. Doesn't matter what it is.
Here, let's see. Screen Rant. What is Ed Harris's best role? Let's see what they say.
I never saw a movie Pollock, but that's an artist that I also don't have any interest in learning about.
Yes, he was in Westworld.
Oh, the TV show.
The TV
yeah.
show.
I
Okay.
mean, like I said, he's always good. I don't like that TV show. Like the movie. Ed Harris is not in the movie.
I liked the TV show, and I thought Ed Harris was good at it.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't
He
think
played the Man in Black.
he just he's incapable of doing any wrong. On the screen,
Still
anyway.
has not
I'm sure he's.
won
I
an
hope he's a sweet man in real life. He sure seems like it. But yeah, Truman Show is one that I wouldn't mind giving another look at. I remember seeing it in the theater, but it's been
Trying to
20
remember
years probably since I've seen it.
who was the girl that played the one that Jim Carrey was actually in love with as a teenager. Natasha McElhone or something like that.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else was she in? Because she's
She
one
was
that always stood out to me as somebody that I remember from something long before Truman Show, but I don't know what.
She was on. She was the president's wife on Designated Survivor, the Kiefer Sutherland TV show.
Never watched that one.
That's what I remember. I mean, that's what I remember her from most recently. She's also on The Crown for a couple episodes, but
He's thinking of her younger though.
yeah.
No, if anything, I think she just reminded me of somebody because the stuff that she was in before that, I've never seen any of it. So I think she just had that.
She has a similar
look.
face.
Maybe there's just something
I mean,
in her eyes.
this is a 1998 love interest look for a female for an actress. It's like, oh, that's who.
and it
that's
could
who they're
be.
gonna
I
pick.
mean, her biggest movie is probably Solaris.
I think she did just regular modeling and stuff too, and it may have just been that I just recognized her face from one of her modeling gigs from before she got into acting.
Yeah, but she has 90s movie girlfriend written all over her face.
'Cause, yeah, I remember being at the theater watching it, and as he was going through trying to recreate her, it kept flashing back to her eyes constantly, and that's what stood out was I remembered her eyes from something.
They probably cast her based on eyes because they knew the shots they needed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, enough about Truman Show.
Go watch it.
Yes, absolutely. It's a great movie. But let's talk some best of the Super Juniors 5. So this year the tournament was a 16-man 2-block system running from May 16th to June 3rd in different locations. The participants in this year's version were Dr. Wagner Jr., who's a Wrestling Observer newsletter Hall of Famer.
A guy I'd never heard of before.
He's a CMLL guy.
Yeah,
Like,
I got that, but it's just, I was like, I've just never heard this name thrown around.
El Samurai, who we last saw at last year's Best of Super Juniors, episode 255. Felino, Hayato Nanjo, Jushin Thunder Liger, who we last saw at Final Power Hall in Tokyo Dome, episode 288. Kaz Hayashi, Kendo Kashin, who we also saw at Final Power Hall, episode 288. Masakazu Fukuda, Shinjiro Otani, also at Final Power Hall, episode 288.
A personal favorite of the three of us.
Yep.
Absolutely. Tatsuhito Takaiwa, also at Final Power Hall, episode 288. And that's the January 4th show, so that's a show we always cover, so that's why a lot of those guys are... It's the last time we saw them. And Yuji Yasuraka at Slamboree 97, episode 254. He faced off versus Rey Mysterio on that show. He was a guy that we were just like, who the heck is this?
Yeah, it's like somebody that can go with Ray.
Yeah. But we found basically a tape on internetarchive.com which had pretty much every match, but we curated it down to mostly just covering guys that we had seen before. And then also, while watching it, we found out that some of the matches themselves have been cut down in places. But there's some really smart edits, because there were times when I didn't even realize that...
Yeah, that there was an edit.
That there was an edit until, like, realizing that I only watched 7 minutes and I knew the match was supposed to be, like, 15. So.
Yeah. And there was a couple where the edits were more obvious. But,
a little more obvious,
but there was some good solid editing in there for sure.
But basically, the tape opens with an opening package with highlights of our competitors from the tournament, followed by the logo of the show. And we go straight into our first match. Shinjiro Otani versus Dr. Wagner Jr. in a Block A match.
And Dr. Wagner Jr. is a luchador in a white mask.
Yeah.
He's masked. He's got a mask on.
That's such a weird name still.
I know.
I want to meet Dr. Wagner Sr.
I'm sure he's real.
Hyodel Wagner Jr. is a free agent. He could show up in WWE here real soon.
Oh. Yeah. NXT, baby.
Yep.
Son of. That's what Hyodel means.
Oh, so son of Dr. Wagner Jr.?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So this Otani Wagner match was from May 17th from Korakuen Hall in Tokyo, Japan, with 1,989 people in attendance.
That's basically the whole gymnasium.
Yeah, that's
Small
basically
place.
a sellout. Yeah. And this is both men's first match of the tournament. And they take the fight to the mat, even using a test of strength.
I mean, it's a necessary evil, Shane.
That allows Otani to gain advantage, only for Doc to respond with chops and boot scrapes, but Shinjiro answers right back with the same.
Yeah, those boot scrapes were kind of comical, but then at the same time, depending on the angle that they showed them at, they looked a little intense.
Otani's not the guy you want to go boot to boot with.
No.
Because he will wash your face.
He will put that boot somewhere.
Wagner retaliates with clotheslines and a body slam, before heading up top to fly off with a splash for a 2 count. Doc goes for a powerbomb, only for Otani to float over and counter with a sit-out powerbomb of his own for a near fall. Shinjiro then goes to the apron to springboard back in with a dropkick, but Wagner sidesteps and rolls up his opponent with a La Magistral for the pin. And no, Otani kicks out. And both men reverse the other's reversed whip, with Doc taking Shinjiro down with a drop toe hold and going for another La Magistral that gets a 2 count. Wagner with another body slam, and he comes off the second rope with a splash, only for Otani to get his knees up and head out to the apron again for a springboard missile dropkick to the back of the head of his opponent.
Classic.
Shinjiro then nails a bridging German suplex for a near fall, followed by sending Wagner to the ropes and attempting a dropkick. but Doc holds on to avoid before delivering multiple clotheslines to the back of the head.
I love a clothesline to the back of the head. It's so mean.
Wagner then picks up Otani for a sit-out crucifix powerbomb for the pin. And no, Shinjiro kicks out.
The crowd goes wild. I love Shinjiro's intensity. Mm-hmm. It's like every time there's he's always got to get up and get in the ref's face and make sure there was only two.
Taking care of business, man.
Yeah.
Doc tries to pick up his opponent for a body slam, only for Otani to block and counter with a spin kick, followed by a release German and a springboard spinning wheel kick for the pin. And no, Wagner kicks out. And Shinjiro can't believe it.
I love right before that, the way he walks out of that slam that before this segment, like Shinjiro truly is selling it like his life depends on it to escape this move. And then he pulls out his big power move and couldn't be more upset that it didn't put the man away.
Shinjiro then attempts a dragon suplex, which Doc blocks by making it to the ropes, elbowing his way free and nailing a clothesline to take Otani down, before delivering a Wagner driver, which is a Michinoku driver, for the pin and the win.
Gimmick infringement.
I mean, yeah. Fun stuff. Quick, surprising finish. This is the shit that I like.
Yep. So we go to our second match. Shinjiro Otani versus El Samurai in a Block A match. And this one was a couple days later on May 19th in the Cultural Gymnasium in Kasumagari, Ibaraka, Japan, with 2,000 people in attendance. And this happens to be Samurai's first match in the tournament. And Shinjiro asks for a handshake, only for El Samurai to kick his arm away, before Otani goes right on the offensive with a body slam and a senton for a 2 count. Shinjiro locks on a sleeper with a body scissors in the middle of the ring, forcing Samurai to crawl to get a boot on the ropes. Otani then goes for a dragon suplex, but El Samurai counters into a reverse DDT, followed by heading up top to attempt a flying headbutt, only for Shinjiro to move in time.
Take that. The more El Samurai that we've watched puts him in context for me more, because I was like, oh, I've known who this guy is for a long time, but he is the scrappy, like, B tier of, like, the, like, first wave of, like, great American or great Japanese, like, juniors, where he's, like, kind of scrappy, kind of sloppy, but lovable. And so it's like, oh, he's kind of like Doki is like in New Japan now.
Yeah,
it's like, oh yeah, he's like the first wave of Doki of the yeah. That's what Doki's pulling from.
Otani fires up with a jackknife powerbomb for a near fall before going to the apron for a springboard dropkick, which Samurai avoids and rolls up his opponent with a La Magistrale for a 2 count. A Hurricanrana for a near fall by El Samurai tries for another, but Otani counters into a powerbomb and a springboard wheel kick for the pin. And no, Samurai kicks out.
It was a nasty Liger bomb.
Shinjiro then whips El Samurai to the ropes and goes for a spin kick. The Samurai avoids by holding on, followed by hitting a clothesline and a powerbomb for a 2 count. El Samurai then sets Otani on the top, delivering a super reverse DDT for the pin. And no, Shinjiro gets his boot on the ropes. Samurai then takes Otani to the top once more for a super Rana, only for Shinjiro to roll through for the pin. And no, El Samurai kicks out. And while Otani argues with the ref, Samurai heads up top for a missile dropkick, which Shinjiro sidesteps and goes to the apron for a springboard dropkick to the back of the head, and a bridging dragon suplex for the pin and the win. I love having a couple Otani matches to kind of get us right in.
I mean,
I had to do a double take because I wasn't looking at the notes, and yeah, when the second match started, it was like, wait, a second one? But then I had to go back to Japan doesn't do your typical, at least when we watch them, where it's, one appearance in a tournament only. You often get the same guy a few different times over. So
Yeah, and this is the round robin A block, B block.
Yep.
You get to watch them, depending on how many people are in the block, you watch those guys wrestle a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great way to get yourself over or see how quickly you get blown up.
Yep.
If you've ever watched a G1 or Best of Super Juniors in real time.
So we go to our third match. Tatsuhito Takaiwa versus El Samurai in a Block A match. And this match would take place a couple days later on May 21st in the City Gymnasium in Komagane, Nagano, Japan, with 1,500 people in attendance.
Yeah, so like 1,500, 2,000 doesn't seem like a lot, but these are the gymnasiums.
Yeah, they're much smaller buildings.
Yeah, they're Karakuan size. So 1,500 might be the size for this, but 2,000, is probably going to be the max for any of these, like the gymnasium shows.
ECW crowds in Japan.
So they're all touring companies.
Yeah. So this is Takaiwa's second match in the tournament, having defeated Liger in his opening bout.
Ooh.
So our competitors lock up and take it to the ropes. The Samurai takes control of strikes and a back suplex before sending Tatsuhito to a corner and charging in, only for El Samurai to get caught by a power slam. Takaiwa then heads up top for an elbow drop that gets a 2 count, followed by a vertical suplex attempt, but Samurai floats over and nails a DDT before going to the top himself, flying off with a missile dropkick. El Samurai heads back up, this time for a diving headbutt, only for Tatsuhito to move in time and set up for a powerbomb. Samurai reverses it into a backdrop, which Takaiwa holds on and bridges back up to lift his opponent, where El Samurai wiggles free momentarily, only to run right into a Death Valley driver.
My God.
Tatsuhito calls for the finish and delivers a pair of powerbombs, lifting Samurai up onto his shoulders for another Death Valley driver that gets a near fall. Takaiwa then goes for another powerbomb, but El Samurai counters out into an inverted DDT, followed by a tornado DDT attempt, only for Tatsuhito to shove him off and hit a massive lariat. Turned him inside out.
I mean, yeah, great bump. Takaiwa has, like, what if Otani was 3 feet taller vibes?
Yeah.
He's just a big ass beater.
Takaiwa then picks up Samurai for the powerbomb, but again Samurai counters into a DDT and a Samurai bomb for a 2 count. El Samurai then takes Tatsuhito to the turnbuckle to hit a super inverted DDT for the pin. And no! Takaiwa gets a boot on the ropes.
It's a good thing because it was a bit of a sloppy reverse DDT.
The two trade clotheslines in the middle of the ring when Samurai ducks and grabs Tatsuhito to deliver an inverted tornado DDT for the pin and the win. So we go to our fourth match. Shinjiro Otani versus Jushin Thunder Liger in a Block A matchup.
The man of the tournament.
And we move forward about a week, because we're now on May 28th, in the Ishikawa Industrial Exhibition Hall number 3 in Kanazawa, Ishikawa, Japan, with an attendance of 3,400 people.
I mean, it's a bigger venue, hot crowd, and obviously intelligently booked because this is a bigger match with 2 of the top juniors. So it's like, all right, well, we can sell a bigger room if we have Liger and Otani on the show.
And so by this point in the tournament, both men were 2-1, with Jushin defeating Fukada, Wagner, and losing to Takaiwa, while Otani had also defeated Fukuda along with the other matches we've watched of his. So the winner of this match would be in the driver's seat in Block A after this match. So our competitors shake hands before we start, but immediately the action is taken to the mat, with each escaping the other's holds with reversals and rope breaks. We get a basement drop kick and stomps by Liger before taking the fight back to the mat, where Shinjiro counters into a cross armbreaker, causing Jushin to reach the ropes. Otani with chokes, a spin kick, and running face washes, followed by going to the apron to leap in with a springboard dropkick, only for Liger to avoid and roll up his opponent with a law magistral for a 2 count. Jushin then nails a Liger bomb for a near fall, before setting Shinjiro on the top turnbuckle to deliver a superplex. But Otani reverses in mid-air to land on top,
My God.
followed by a springboard dropkick and a bridging German for a 2 count. Shinjiro then goes back to the armbreaker, with Jushin again crawling his way to the ropes.
I mean, the Jushin's been selling the arm work incredibly well, and it's just like, as soon as he thinks he might get ahead, he just goes right back to, Otani goes right back to his arm. You know, like a wrestling match.
Jushin then reverses a whip and charges in with a showtie, leaving Otani stumbling about after it.
He has no idea where he is.
So Liger hits a lariat that leaves him hung up in the ropes.
Love it. Love to see it.
These two are magic.
Mm-hmm.
Jushin nails the superplex this time for a near fall before taking Shinjiro back up to the turnbuckle, only to be elbowed away, so Otani is able to deliver a dragon suplex and go out to the apron to fly back in with a springboard wheel kick for the pin. And no, Liger kicks out. Shinjiro looks to grab his opponent for another dragon suplex, but Jushin breaks free and hits another showtie for a 2 count, before dropping him with a jackknife powerbomb for the pin and the win.
Lovely.
These two guys are just magic in the ring.
Yeah, I mean, both of them at the top of their game and just like fully aware of each other's ability. It's like there's no heel in a competition that any man can win, and it means the world. This is the one time of the year where they get to like truly shine for a month as the juniors. So they did not disappoint.
No.
So we move to our 5th match. Kaz Hayashi versus Kendo Kashin in a Block B match. And this match would take place on May 30th in the Himeji City Welfare Hall in Himeji, Hyogo, Japan, with 2,350 people in attendance. Kendo comes in with a 3-1 record, defeating Nanjo, Felino, and Yasaraka, while losing to Kanemoto, while Hayashi had a 2-1 record, defeating Felino and Yasaraki and losing to Nanjo. So Kaz had to win to not be eliminated, while Kashin could wrap up Block B with a win. Basically 4 wins, pretty much just gonna
Lock it in. Yeah. So, both of them are fighting, but Kaz needs the win.
Yep.
A little more. And he's in from a different promotion, right?
Yeah. He's
Free?
I
That's
think
what I have
so.
in my notes. I don't know. I've never heard of Free before. Free.
He is quite the looker as well.
We will see him for quite some time because he will end up in WCW. He's part of the Jung Dragons with Jimmy
Wang Yang.
Yeah, Jimmy Wang Yang. He's one of those guys.
Okay.
And Kendo is the one in the mask. Thanks for the heads up, Matt, before I watch this match.
He's the one that not Kendo, but Kaz.
Yeah.
In the opening of the show, there was somebody that it's like he took a mask off or something, and he just had this like, I'm a model look. And it was like, this guy is very pretty. And I was wondering if he was going to be on the show. And then, this match started. And it was like, oh, yeah, there he is.
A little behind the scenes here. I took the notes for this entire match. And then I think when I got to the next Kendo Kashin match that we'll cover here in a little bit, that's when I realized that I had these two people backwards the entire time.
Yeah, I've done that one by watching Japanese shows with no English commentary before as well, where I'm like, and then realized, gone back and erased. Oops. It's hard when you don't, especially when it's guys from promotions that are coming in for a junior show where it's like, oh yeah, we don't see these guys on a regular basis. We know what Otani looks like. Yeah. we know the guys in New Japan, but
so our match gets going with Kendo attacking before the bell, and the two begin trading strikes until Kashin's knocked out to the floor, followed by a baseball slide and a tope suicida by Hayashi, but right into a chair that Kendo had picked up.
Focusing on the arm.
Kashin keeps up the attack with stomps and chair shots to the arm of Kaz before returning to the ring, where Kendo catches a charging Hayashi to place on the ropes, only for him to reverse into a body scissors that sends Kashin crashing out to the floor. Kaz then springboards with a somersault senton out onto his opponent, followed by returning to the ring for a bridging dragon suplex, transitioning into a crossface, forcing Kendo to reach the ropes to break the hold. Hayashi then takes Kashin to the top turnbuckle to attempt a hurricanrana, but Kendo delivers a low blow to send Kaz falling down to the mat and allowing him to fly off with a clothesline. Hayashi's then sent to the ropes, coming back with a crucifix and transitioning into the crossface once more in the middle of the ring. So Kashin again is forced to crawl his way to the ropes. Chops and uppercuts traded between the two when they trade standing switches, leading to a hot shot of Kendo on the top rope.
And both men are like stumbling at this point when it comes to the trading of blows. It's not the trading of blows that we see too often now, where it's like, now it's your turn. Now you give me the best you got. It's like, oh no, they're just knock down, drag out, exhausted blows.
Kaz heads up top, flying off for a hurricanrana that made me cringe.
Yes. Yeah, Kaz Hayashi's head just eats the mat.
Yeah.
Takes a bite out of it.
But he does get a 2 count, followed by Kashin grabbing the arm for an arm breaker, only for Hayashi to counter it into a law magistral for the pin and the win.
Yeah, I mean, that spot, it's like, say what you will, but there's no way he should have won with a surprise roll up after his head just went a foot into the mat. I thought he was dead. I was like, this guy's never gonna wrestle again.
I literally watched it and I cringed so bad that my wife went, "What is going on?" I was like,
"Do you want to see this?"
Here you go. And I rewound it for her to watch, and she went, "Yeah, that dude's dead." And I was like, "Nope, he's still alive."
And somehow he won the match.
Yeah, I watched this show the day before the Rumble. So watching this match, and then the next day watching Kevin Owens land where it looked like he snapped his head off inside of a ladder. Yeah, I had back-to-back double cringe moments, and I don't want to watch anything like that in a while.
I mean, yeah, not to talk about the Royal Rumble, but that spot was like, it's like, okay, this is a pretty normal ladder match. But then that spot at the end, I was like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. You saw his face when they took him out?
No.
Yeah. I'm going to have to look up a picture to see what he looks like today, but it was...
Yeah.
It was pretty sick. And I don't typically use the word sick that often, but it was sick and not in the happy good way.
But this match was fun and had some good spots, but it kind of felt like the first encounter with these two wrestlers, which it could have been.
Yeah. I mean, I think Kaz is probably a little sloppy in some of his stuff. And, I mean, obviously, he almost breaks his neck on a move, but...
Yeah. But, yeah, it's like this one, I mean, from Liger and Otani to this, it's like, all right, you can see some of the holes in the game, but it's more of lack of experience than it is lack of ability.
Yeah.
Just like when you see some of the best, it's hard to follow it up with some guys that are just, good.
So we go to our 6th match of El Samurai versus Jushin Thunder Liger in a Block A match. And this was actually on the same day and same place as our last match. Usually most days they did one Block A match, one Block B match.
Yeah.
Kind of back and forth.
Drag it out because it's not such a huge tournament, which it turns into being like today it's 10 people in each block.
Yeah.
Which is a whole lot of matches. Yeah. So you can drag it out for pretty far.
Also, like the other match, Jushin came in with a chance to wrap up the block while Samurai needed a win to not be eliminated.
You got to book it like that, especially with such few outcomes. It's probably a little easier to predict if you were, playing a numbers game at the time.
So we get traded strikes to start when Liger would be tossed to the floor, followed by El Samurai flying over the ropes with a tope konhio. Back in the ring, Samurai heads up top for a missile drop kick that Jushin just absorbs. So he goes back up for another that Liger again no-sells.
He's feeling himself. I mean, the crowd's feeling him too. You would never guess that Liger was more over than El Samurai with this crowd.
El Samurai changes tactics and goes for a Hurricanrana, only for Jushin to reverse it into multiple power bombs for 2 counts. Liger then takes Samurai to the top to hit a superplex for a near fall, before the two trade standing switches, allowing El Samurai to nail an inverted DDT and a tornado DDT.
Oh my god.
Samurai then delivers a lifting inverted DDT for a 2 count, followed by charging at his opponent, but Jushin with a drop toe hold and cradles up El Samurai with a La Magistral for a near fall. Samurai then responds with a clothesline before hitting a second rope tornado inverted DDT for the pin and the win.
What do they say? 5th time's a try? I wasn't counting them, but I know it was more than 3. But maybe it's the horns. They cushion the blow.
There you go.
So he can take more DDTs.
Post-match, El Samurai is actually interviewed in the back.
Oh, yay.
In Japanese, so unless our Duolingo is up to date, we still don't know what they're saying.
But we imagine it was important, because a lot of these didn't have the backstage interviews, which most Japanese tapes always have like at least a clip or 2 of.
Well, I think what he actually was saying back there was, I had to do so much because the horns absorb so much of the blows.
I think horns on your mask should be illegal. We need to talk to the...
Can we get Eric Bischoff in here and get a lose the mask match already?
No. Eric Bischoffs. Keep him out of Japan.
So we go to our 7th match. Kaz Hayashi versus Koji Kanemoto in a Block B match. This match took place on May 31st at the Tottori Industrial Gym in Tottori, Japan, with an attendance of 3,500 people.
All right, I have to ask real fast. With the Block A, Block B, what is the significance of the blocks? Or is it just random selection that you're in?
There was 8 men in each block.
Okay. So, I mean, is there...
If you're in A block, you fight everybody in A block.
The other 7 guys in your block.
For points.
And you're trying to score points.
Okay.
For each win, you got 2 points usually.
Yeah. But it's
I think this year it's just 1 point. But
Block A is... These are all of our main eventers. Block B is the next level.
They mix them all up.
Yeah. There's typically like a lot of the times one of the blocks is going to be more stacked with like established guys, and it's not like only the A's and only the like A stars and only the B stars. But one of them always ends up looking a little bit more tasty on paper.
Cool. Just making sure, because as we were going through and saying the names of the people that they had fought in Block A, Block B, I realized that I recognized more names from Block A.
Yes, basically. So when I curated it down, most of the people that we had watched before were all in Block A. And so originally, the original decision, there was not going to be any Block B matches at all that we were going to watch. And I was like,
we can't do that.
Can't do that. We probably need a couple Block B matches in here.
Okay.
So I threw a couple in here with the Kaz Hayashi because we'll know him better in the future, but we have seen Kendo Kashin and Koji Kanemoto before, so I was like, I'm sure.
Planting our own seeds for future storytelling.
Yeah.
I like it.
So Kaz and Koji are both sitting at 3-1, so the winner of this match will be the block winner to fight for all the marbles.
Absolutely.
And the two exchange strikes to begin when Koji takes Hayashi to the top for a super power slam that gets a 2 count. Kanemoto then goes for a suplex, only for Kaz to escape by running them both into the ropes, followed by leaping back in from the apron with a somersault something that takes down his opponent.
That's what I had on my notes too. Mine said slingshot something.
Hayashi continues with a drop kick that sends Koji to the floor before flying over the ropes with a tope konhio, followed by getting back in the ring to hit a tope suicida once Kanemoto is back to his feet. Now back in the ring, Kaz comes off the top with a flying headbutt and a dragon suplex before locking in a crossface, forcing Koji to make the ropes. A backbreaker and a top rope moonsault by Hayashi, followed by going back to the crossface, again making Kanemoto crawl his way to the ropes.
As the fans rally.
Kaz then takes Koji to the top for a Super Rana, but Kanemoto counters deliver a powerbomb. That again makes me cringe.
Yeah, a little bit of a botch. He folded Hayashi like a goddamn beach towel. It was a nasty bump.
But it allows Koji to take control with a body slam and a moonsault for a near fall. Kanemoto then follows up with a bridging tiger suplex for the pin. And the win.
I mean, real nasty bump. And Hayashi did get a lot in. But I'm glad that he did not win after being folded in half like that. Unlike that last match where he rolled him up after. This guy's taken a few too many nasty bumps this turn.
Yeah. Poor
guy. I hope they gave him, $50 extra.
So that puts Kanemoto into the finals. So we'll see you come here in a little bit.
Yeah.
Fighting for the title.
Happy to see it. Otani and Liger can't win them all.
That's right.
And Liger would lay down for anybody that he has any strong feeling, like any belief in, or sometimes maybe just Gedo. Remember that?
Yeah. So we go to our 8th match: Tatsuhito Takaiwa versus Shinjiro Otani in a Block A match. This match was also on May 31st, but both men are at the bottom of the table, so they're just fighting for pride.
Yeah,
but we like these guys a lot, so I was like, I'm not going to cut this match.
I mean, yeah, Shinjiro is an ass beater, and Takaiwa is a even larger ass beater.
Yeah. So we start off with Shinjiro hammering away in a corner, hitting several running boot washes, and goes for a suplex, only for Takaiwa to reverse into a brainbuster. Tatsuhito then lifts Otani up on his shoulders, but Shinjiro escapes and delivers a basement dropkick to begin working the leg, using a figure 4, forcing Takaiwa to crawl his way to the ropes.
I love nothing more than somebody getting their knee kicked out in a wrestling match. Just a dropkick, a low dropkick is one of my guilty pleasures.
Unless they have knee problems, then just leave them alone.
No, it makes it more intense.
Otani with a springboard dropkick, only for Tatsuhito to answer right back with a clothesline and 3 power bombs for a near fall. Shinjiro then ducks a clothesline to hit a dragon suplex before going to the apron to leap back in with a springboard wheel kick for a 2 count. Otani then goes for another suplex, but Takaiwa backs him into a corner to escape, followed by taking him to the top turnbuckle where they fight, knocking Tatsuhito back to the mat, allowing Shinjiro to climb down to the apron to springboard back in with a missile dropkick to the back of the head.
I mean, if it's Otani, you're gonna, you need to keep your, you need to be facing him at all times because he will kick you in the back of the fucking head any chance he gets.
Yes. Actually, the thing about that move that I laughed a little bit is that he's literally on the top rope.
Mm-hmm.
You could do a missile dropkick from the top rope, but he climbs down to the apron so he can do a springboard missile dropkick.
I mean,
because it's Otani's thing is the springboard.
Yeah. It's so funny how often just watching him go to the apron and just waiting for a guy to just measuring him from the apron constantly.
Otani nails a bridging German for a near fall before Takaiwa reverses a whip, charging in after with multiple clotheslines for the pin and the win. I was kind of disappointed in the finish a little bit.
I did like the surprise of it, but
I mean, yeah.
But it's like, oh, they beat the teetotal shit out of each other, and this guy's got like 30 pounds on him probably. Below both of them, but yeah, it's like clothesline finish is not typical of a junior.
Super junior, yeah. Post-match, Tatsuhito gets interviewed. I'm sure he said,
if only he had horns.
I got him. But we go to our 9th match. El Samurai versus Dr. Wagner Jr. in a Block A match. This match took place on June 1st at the Ogaki Castle Hall in Ogaki, Gifu, Japan, with 3,600 people in attendance.
Hell yeah.
And both men are sitting at 3-1 also. So this match's winner will head to the finals.
And I feel like this cuts deep into the match where this one starts.
Yeah.
Just so you know. Because, like, oh, who knows what they did before this, but you could probably guess with, the context of the kinds of moves that get used. We've all watched wrestling before.
We start right on the action with Samurai flying off the top with a drop kick, followed by taking Wagner to the top for a super Rana that gets a 2 count. Doc rallies with clotheslines and a gory special, only for El Samurai to counter it into a sunset flip for a near fall. Samurai then takes Wagner to the top to deliver a super inverted DDT for a 2 count, before attempting a splash onto his opponent. But Doc moves in time, cradling up El Samurai with a La Magistral for a near fall.
And the crowd is going bananas, which is a little upsetting because of all the moves Matt just named, there was a cut between about 4 of them. So I'm like, and it already started a little deeper into the match. So I'm like, I want to see how well they manipulated this crowd because part of the magic.
It was just lariat after lariat after lariat.
I mean, I'm here for it.
Wagner keeps up the attack with a crucifix powerbomb, only for Samurai to reverse into a Hurricanrana. But Doc rolls through into a pin attempt for a 2 count.
Deep cover.
Followed by nailing a Wagner driver for the pin. And the win. So Dr. Wagner Jr. moves on to the finals.
This is one of the matches where I'm like, wish it was a little longer. Because,
Yeah,
it was like
when I turned this match on, it showed 2.5 minutes, and I was like, why are we showing a block final in 2.5 minutes? I'm just like...
Yeah, and then to hear, obviously it was going well because the crowd was going bananas.
It'd be one thing if it was just a full-on massacre and, it ended literally in 2.5 minutes, but... Yeah. I'm curious how much fully was cut.
Yeah, that match was 14 minutes long, and we got 2.5 minutes of it.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's all right, well, let's just show all the power move spots and the finish. So it's he could have been softening him up with lariats for 10 minutes of the just throughout the whole match or whatever, and then just finally lays it in, and then maybe that finish would have felt more justified or it would have paid off.
Well, after that match, the tape actually goes to credits. But don't fret, because the final, you can find it, I believe, you can even find it on YouTube. I think there's some sound syncing issues with that version, or you can go to New Japan World to find the full version as well.
Yeah. I mean, which is crazy that they would put out the tape and not put the final on it.
Yeah, it is crazy.
Maybe there was a Volume 2 tape, who knows?
So we go to our 10th match. Dr. Wagner Jr. versus Koji Kanemoto in the Best of the Super Juniors finals.
Best of the best, y'all.
And we get back and forth action using mat holds and strikes to begin, when Wagner applies a bow and arrow to gain control, followed by a drop kick and a leg drop for a 2 count.
Obviously, Koji is more over, as he is the New Japan guy. And Dr. Wagner, just looking at him in this, I'm like, how is he a junior? He's about as wide as a fucking barn door.
He's a luchador.
I know he's a luchador, so he's probably a little on the shorter side, but he is the definition of barrel chested.
Yes.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
He doesn't fit quite.
No, he's he's wider than for a modern, he's wider than Penta, and Penta's pretty broad for current lucha.
Doc works the back of Koji with more holds, but Kanemoto fires back with knees, chokes, and chops momentarily.
You gotta soften him up for that gory special he loves so much.
Only for Wagner to shoulder block his opponent down to regain control with a camel clutch and a cross arm breaker. That Koji quickly finds the ropes to break the hold. Wagner keeps up the attack with a vertical suplex and a Romero special before a pump handle slam for a near fall. More submission attempts by Doc, followed by a corner clothesline and a pendulum swing hold, just smacking Kanemoto's face on the mat as Wagner stretches him.
Something I recognized early in this, since a lot of the stuff we watched was cut down, so we didn't see as much of the mat work, but I like this version of Dr. Wagner doing the mat catch stuff, and I would have maybe liked to see a little bit more of that for context.
That's right.
Now that we're watching the final.
The doctor putting on a clinic.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a sucker for that stuff. It's important. We know how New Japan Wrestling works. You gotta soften them up before you get to the big moves.
Yep. Koji fires back with strikes, but Doc with a big right hand knocks down his opponent and applies a half crab before transitioning into a full Boston crab to continue to work over Kanemoto.
It's the Juarez crab.
I was going to say, why is it not the Wagner crab?
Once back on their feet, the two trade slaps when Koji catches Wagner with a Japanese arm drag and a big kick to the head. Kanemoto then slams down Doc for a second rope twisting senton. Goes for another, only for Wagner to have moved, and rolls up Koji with a La Magistral for a 2 count.
That's the Pee Wee Herman word of the day. La Magistral.
Turnbuckle smashes and a tiger driver for a near fall, followed by locking on a figure 4, with Kanemoto struggling to crawl his way to the ropes. But Wagner releases to nail a body slam and head up top to deliver a flying splash for the pin, and no, Koji kicks out. Wagner would lock on a gory special, only for Kanemoto to escape momentarily. But Doc just butt splashes down for a 2 count. Wagner goes to the gory special again, with Koji flipping out this time to escape, only to get taken down by a lariat and kicks to the head. Now Doc hits a crucifix powerbomb for the pin, and no, Kanemoto kicks out again. So Wagner suplexes his opponent over the ropes to the floor.
You know what I love? Because every time people attempt that spot, we just assume it's not going to happen. So when it does happen, it's just so satisfying. And this is the kind of stage, match importance, where someone's got to pull it off. Someone's got to get their ass down to the floor.
Yep.
Wagner then runs Koji into a guardrail, grabs a chair, and smashes it over his back several times. Now back in the ring, Kanemoto catches Doc with a spinning heel kick and applies a figure 4, only for Wagner to immediately turn it over, forcing Koji to crawl to the ropes. Doc with strikes before taking his opponent to the top turnbuckle, where they trade more strikes, with Kanemoto getting the best of it to knock Wagner down, allowing him to fly off with a dropkick. Koji then goes for a tiger suplex, but it's blocked, so he hits a spinning heel kick to the head, followed by a rolling prawn hold for a 2 count. Kanemoto continues with a body slam and a moonsault for the pin, and no, Wagner kicks out. So Koji goes for another, only for Doc to move in time, nailing a Wagner driver for the pin, and no, Kanemoto gets a boot on the ropes. And Doc is pissed as the ref counted 3. So he shoves Tiger Hattori down, while Koji has rolled out to the floor to regroup.
Ref bump. I also don't push Tiger Hattori.
Where many of the other competitors in our tournament are either trying to help or hinder him getting back in the ring. You know, heels helping.
Yeah.
Heels not trying to stop him, you know. Once he returns, Wagner nails his finisher again for the pin. And no, Kanemoto kicks out. So Doc then sends Koji to the ropes, attempting a pop-up powerbomb, only for Kanemoto to counter into a Hurricanrana. But Wagner rolls through for the pin. And no, Koji kicks out again.
And he is pissed.
So is Liger, who he like jumps on the aprons, arguing with the ref.
Oh yeah.
While Doc takes Kanemoto to the top to hit a super crucifix powerbomb for the pin, and no, Koji kicks out. Wagner heads up top for a flying splash, only for Kanemoto to roll out of the way, making it back to his feet to nail a hurricanrana for a near fall, followed by kicks to the back of the head of Doc.
Nasty.
Before a body slam and a moonsault. Koji then delivers a tiger suplex for the pin and the win.
I love that he misses the bridge, so he just rolls over and makes a deep cover. Feels real, looks good. Yeah, because through watching this, I was like, Dr. Wagner, he's good. And then we watch this match, and I'm like, do I love this guy? It's like, that's the difference between seeing, 5 minutes of a match and seeing, granted, this is the final, so this should be the best match of the tournament.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you want.
Yeah.
That's the ideal
Better not
goal.
be cut down to 2.5 minutes.
Yes. But,
Lovely.
Kanemoto is our best of the Super Juniors champion. So I ask you, gentlemen, what are your overall thoughts of best of the Super Juniors 5?
I mean, we didn't see all of it, but it might not be the junior tournament of years past, the ones that get talked about, on a regular basis even today. But nobody embarrassed themselves, and the crowds were hot as hell. Dr. Wagner had a great beefy big boy performance throughout the whole show, and then I learned that he also could hold his own doing catch wrestling in the final.
Mm-hmm.
And also such great mat work for a man that's basically a whiskey barrel. It's like he's very very active, considering, like, I mean, look up a photo of this guy. Like I said, he's as wide as a barn door, but he can move.
He's so junior, it's in his name, damn it.
Yeah. That's why they say, like, all right, I'm Dr. Wagner. It's like, we got to call you Dr. Wagner Jr. just so they'll believe that you're a junior. Because your torso looks like it weighs 200 pounds. But, I don't have any complaints here. And the final was great. The crowd went bananas. And they did a smart thing by having a foreigner as the person that he's having the match with, that Kanemoto's having the match with in the final. So you get a crowd that's, even hotter for who you obviously booked to win, and he worked from underneath a bit, but it wasn't an ass beating. It wasn't. He didn't win with La Magistrelle.
Yeah, I mean, along those same lines, it was a solid show, start to finish. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of thought this was gonna be Otani's year with as much as we saw him, but I'm still not disappointed.
It was Kanemoto's turn, though.
Yeah.
Right? Otani's already, like, the top junior that's not in a mask, right?
Yeah.
Yep. No, I mean, no complaints on the show.
This is one of our favorite tournaments, and this year didn't disappoint.
Yep. Whether it be the cup or the best of, like, give us a junior tournament, and chances are we'll be pleased as punch.
Yeah. I was on the edge of my seat for many of these matches, like, even with them being cut down. Like,
yeah,
I was just loving everything that was happening.
It's like there's only one of these that had a finish that was kind of disappointing, and that's potentially because we didn't get to see a lot of the match, and that was the lariat finish.
Yeah.
We're just like, okay, that seemed kind of out of nowhere, but for all we know, he was cracking him with lariats for 10 minutes, and we only saw like 2 minutes of it.
Yeah.
So, but that was, outside of that, the finishes were big, and there was no squash matches that we saw, because that's not what you want out of a tournament. That's not good for anybody.
Good. Where's the smart marks at? All right. Fuck you.
I think it's time we smark it up. So what are some of the best moments of this show?
Obviously love Otani's intensity.
Yep.
All throughout. Some of these nasty bumps, no matter how nasty they were,
Yeah,
they stick. They are tattooed in your brain.
the bending in half of old
Kaz Hayashi.
Kaz, that's his
Yeah,
name.
he took the two nastiest bumps,
Yeah.
and they were gross. That first one we thought he died, and the second one, I knew how tough he was by that point.
Yeah, exactly. I like that the Death Valley driver is becoming more of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a surprise to see it used and then, used multiple times throughout the show.
Yeah, we saw Tatsuhito in last year's tournament. I think it was the first time we had seen him.
And I think he had come back from...
And he impressed me last year.
Yeah.
And so, like, for him to come back this year with the couple of matches that we got to see of him, I was just like... I think I really like this guy. Like, I never heard of him before, and I'm just like, what happened to this dude? Like,
I think like the last year that we saw him, it's like he had probably just recently came back from excursion or whatever. Yeah. But he is like a bigger Otani, but he's not as emotional as Otani. So he's just kind of not as emotionless as a Undertaker or a Kane. But
that's what I love about Otani, though, is he can be like super emotional and then at the same time be just like stone cold.
Yeah, just a complete dickhead. And then, like a stone-faced dickhead, but when it's not going his way, he's emotional, but not so much in a bratty way as in like an intense way. He more conveys that how bad he wants it as opposed to him like not getting what he wants. I assume Liger booked this. Good on him for giving Dr. Wagner a chance, because he could have easily put like Otani up here again or whatever, and it's like, well, there's less people in this tournament, and it's like, obviously this guy's good, but we never heard of fucking Dr. Wagner Jr. Also, we don't know a whole lot about like CMLL. Most of the luchadors that I can name are the ones that most any wrestling fan can name. Our knowledge doesn't go that deep, but maybe it should, because when I see a guy like Dr. Wagner Jr., I'm more interested in lucha, because sometimes I've watched modern lucha in the last handful of years and been like, I understand it, but it's not for me. But when I see a guy like Dr. Wagner having like serious and competitive matches that aren't all flash, then I'm like, all right, well, this is what I want out of my luchadors, as opposed to guys doing flips into glass poles and then popping right back up.
Yeah.
So maybe we need more Dr. Wagner Juniors in this world.
I mean, it's tough to name like best moments, just because every match just like is just full of them. So it's like,
yeah. And a lot. I mean, a few.
There's no like unique moments in a lot of them, because a lot of these guys, since we literally saw Otani have 4 matches. So like every Otani match, you watch enough matches back to back to back, they kind of start running together a little bit.
Yeah. Even
though I love watching Otani matches, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but he's got his moveset. Face washes,
springboard. You're like, those boot washes are great.
Yeah.
Which match are you talking about? The boot washes.
Yeah. It's like
all of them.
Yeah, he's gonna do slingshot moves. He's going to kick you in the back of the head any chance.
Exactly.
Like, and try to stay away from that dragon suplex, because it might be the end of you. Or is it the tiger suplex?
Tiger suplex, I think, is normal finisher.
Yeah. Jushin with his jackknife powerbomb is always beautiful. It was definitely a night of La Magistrals.
I think one of the best just vibes, I guess. Not necessarily a moment, but in the final, I was like, holy shit, they're going to let a like foreigner win this, because that's how good the match was, and that's how well both these guys were like working together and selling, that I was like, holy shit, is Liger going to put over fucking Dr. Wagner Jr.?
Yeah, there was multiple times when I was like, oh, Wagner's winning this.
Yeah, and that's the most we can ask for from a wrestling match, especially one that happened 30 years ago. Like, it's like, oh, if you can surprise me at all, it's like, I always describe wrestling as chasing the dragon, because when you get into it, or when you get back into it, as I did, everything is like fresh and new again, and like you don't know who's like gonna win, and there's guys you start to like and you're excited for what's gonna happen, but then you get jaded pretty quickly once you look at a card or matches, and you just kind of like, all right, well, this guy has no chance of winning this match. So you're fighting for those moments where you forget about all of that and are completely in.
Mm-hmm.
This final, the main event of this tournament, did that. That's all I can really ask for.
How about most disappointing?
I guess that a lot of the stuff's cut down, but it's par for the course.
Yeah, I mean
it sucks that it's cut, but I like how they cut it.
Yeah, it wasn't a terrible edit job. It's not like some of the ECW edit jobs we've seen where it's like, okay, all right, these was at least done with some thought.
Is this even the same match?
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, I literally match-wise, the only complaint was the one finish, and we could probably complain more about
the fact that it was 2 minutes long.
That, we don't get to see half the match, so
More than
there might have been more storyline to the match and why the clotheslines are what won it, that
Yeah,
kind of
for all
thing.
we know, he dropped him with a pile driver earlier in the match, and then maybe he was just working the back of his head the whole show, the whole match, who knows. But yeah, that would be my only real complaint outside of
not knowing what they're saying in those interviews.
Yeah, I mean, we know what they're saying for the most part.
I mean, all we have to do
time.
is just learn Japanese, guys, and then we'd understand commentary, we'd understand what they're saying in interviews. I mean,
closest you're gonna get for.
So if anyone out there wants to buy us an actual Duolingo
account, I'll stick to Spanish. It'll be more important in my life as a member, as a
but
US citizen.
I do want to go to Japan at some point in my life.
Yeah, for sure.
And best performer.
It's hard,
Otani, baby.
It's hard not to just say Otani, but considering we saw a lot of him and he really impressed me to the point where I was like, oh, do I love this guy? I will give it to Wagner. Even though Koji won, we didn't see as much of Koji. He had a great performance, but I saw a lot of Wagner, and I would consider myself a fan of his at this point. Which I liked the matches that we saw earlier, the ones that were cut down, but this final, I was like, oh, this guy's got it. He's got the stuff.
And this is where Matt says, and this is the last time.
we'll ever see Dr. Wagner Jr.
I mean, it might actually be. I don't know.
If I want more Wagner Jr. in my life, I'm gonna have to take that on myself.
He comes back as a dad next time. So
I'm sure he probably shows up at some point in New Japan again.
Yeah.
If we actually watch it, that's
another story.
That's another story, because with New Japan, it's sometimes just what can we find.
We're gonna come back on the next episode and find out that it was actually Junior Wagner Jr. was his name.
I mean, I think other than Kaz Hayashi, like literally everybody on the show, like absolutely killed it.
Kaz Hayashi almost got killed.
And Kaz almost got killed. I mean, Kaz just was a little sloppy.
Yep.
Yeah.
In some of his stuff,
but he's a younger guy.
He's a younger guy. He'll get better as he does it more.
That's the thing about these kinds of tournaments, is that it like separates the like wheat from the chaff. Yeah, it's like that's the kind of the point of them in a way, is they find out like who really has it and who doesn't after a month of like a grueling tournament.
Yeah.
Kaz reminded me of what is his name? He's a Hispanic kid. He teams with Angel Garza. Humberto Castillo, I think is that his last name? No. Humberto something, but yeah, just looks wise, that's who it reminded me of. It's like another version of him, just from 1998 in Japanese.
But he had a great tan.
Yes, and very pretty eyes.
And most surprising? I think it's Wagner.
Yeah.
I didn't, not knowing anything about him.
Yeah, never heard of him, and all of a sudden he's almost winning everything.
I mean, at one point I legitimately thought that they were going to put him over in the final. I was like, holy shit.
And then he takes off the mask, and it's actually
Chris Jericho.
There we go.
Oh, no. Wagner has the chest of when Jericho is in good shape today. That's how wide it is.
When Jericho is
in shape today.
Super Liger or whatever.
But like I was like, Dr. Wagner Jr., what the fuck? Who the fuck is this guy? And then as I was like loading up the matches because they were separate files, I was like, I guess he's important, because like I put all the files in like a playlist to just like go through them, and then I write down the matches as they came up, and he kept showing up. So I was like, all right, with a name like that, I was like, sure, whatever. He's not going to amount to anything. And then by the end of it, I went on a journey with him, and he completely delivered. So,
Yep.
if he's not the surprise, then yeah, I don't know what could be. We know Otani's going to we're going to do all the things we love about him.
Making their way to the ring.
It's trivia time.
Uh-oh. What do we got?
This week, the category is What Happened When?
What happened when?
So I'm going to give you a show. You are going to get me the main event.
Between 90, it's 95, right?
1995.
All right.
5 points if you can give it to me without multiple choice. 3 points if I have to give you some options. The show is the very first Nitro from September 4th, 1995.
And it's the main event, you said?
The main event of that show.
Oh, shit. God damn it. I was about to do it. Go ahead, Shane. Go ahead.
Shane?
I want to say it was Sting and Flair.
It was.
That is incorrect.
Is it? Okay.
Oh, that was incorrect.
That is incorrect.
Why am I thinking that the first Nitro and the last Nitro had the same main event?
I thought that it was Sting and Flair as well. I know Liger shows up, but Luger's not in a match. And the only other match I can think of on the show.
I'd say take your multiple choice.
I'll
You got none
take
to
the
lose.
multiple choice instead of
All right. Your options are Hulk Hogan with Jimmy Hart versus Big Bubba Rogers for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Hulk Hogan with Jimmy Hart versus Lex Luger for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Ric Flair versus Sting. Or Ming versus Lex Luger.
It's Bubba Rogers and Hulk Hogan.
That is correct.
Because I was like the only other match I can think of because Sting and Flair have a match on the show.
They opened the show.
Okay.
Oh, I thought the show was opened by
Or maybe it's the end of the first hour.
Pillman
or something
and
like
It's-
that.
Liger.
Pillman
Yeah,
and
it's
Liger.
Pillman and Liger.
Pillman and
That's
Liger
right. That's the first
and Luger
match.
are the most memorable things, and then Flair and Sting, and then I'm like, oh yeah, Postomania.
Yeah, we main event our first show with Big Bubba Rogers.
I mean, Hogan's got to. They're not going to let Hogan just kill Sting on
Why not?
TV.
Oh, you gotta build up to that so that
'Cause-
it kills everybody's desire to watch anything else.
Yeah, see, I don't even remember that being on the show at all. I remember Sting and Flair, and I remember Liger Pillman, and I remember Postomania and
Remember
Lex
Luger
Luger.
walking
That's the
down?
4 things I remember from the show.
What's he doing here?
And Mongo showing up with his little dog on commentary.
Pepe. Next week, Great American Bash, 1998.
How great can it be? You never know.
Never know.
I was gonna have a political answer there. Never mind.
Also, Shane, if I would have buzzed in before you, it would have all been yours. 'Cause
Yeah.
I was going to say the same exact thing. It popped right in my head, but I was just a second too late. So that was luck.
If I hadn't said the very first Nitro, you guys just would have been like, I don't know, random Nitro? Why would you give us that one?
Yeah, you have to say it's the first one. Also, picking a random Nitro would be crazy. It's like the first one matters.
Yeah. Monday Night Nitro from October
1995.
1995.
Yeah. October 19, 1995.
Those are fun sometimes.
Yeah. Fucking crazy.
Kevin
Music from this
Sullivan. No.
music for this week's show is The Score by Emerson, Lake and Powell. And
Koji Kanemoto.
Koji Kanemoto won our main event. So we play Junction Whirlwind.
Okay.
Can't wait to hear that song.
If you like this episode or any of our other ones, please go out there, rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you find your podcasts at. Do as Michael says.
5 stars or no stars, it's the best of the Super Juniors. Give it 5 stars. You deserve it.
This is the 5th one. Might as well. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns,
Where are we going next?
Baltimore.
We're going to Baltimore.
Crab chips, crab
Yeah.
cakes, soft shell crab.
All the things that you can get here in Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what else is in Baltimore.
Yeah, if you give me some idea. I've been to Baltimore once, but it was back around this time, actually. I guess it was more 99-ish, but yeah, give me some ideas. Slide into our DMs. Give me
pit beef.
Pit beef. I'm kind of curious about that.
I'm just naming things that I know.
Yeah.
Baltimore. The Ravens.
I mean, I'm gonna do what I do, but it's always more fun with help. So.
The Terrapins.
Oh, I don't know that one.
That's the University of Maryland.
Oh, okay.
But you can send any of those things to our email at wrestlinghistoryx@gmail.com or find us on X at WrestlingHistoX. That's Wrestling HISTO X. We'll talk to you next week.
I miss you, Twitter. Laters.